So hey guys, it's Stephanie, and today I'm going to do the intimidating TBR tag. Liz from Now Voyaging tagged me months ago. I know like everyone and their mother has already done this tag. This tag is basically old news. But I am just now I finally unpacked all my books and I'm now catching up with all the tags from when I was in the process of moving, so that's why I'm late to the party. A lot of these books aren't necessarily books that I find intimidating. They're books I plan to get to. Some of them I already have buddy reads set up for, but they're just books I guess I haven't gotten to yet. So question one is, what is a book you have been unable to finish? I'm finally at the point in my life where if I find myself unable to finish it, I just put it away and don't ever pick it up again. I take it off my Goodreads shelf, it's gone, I don't ever think about it again. But if there was a book that I did not finish because it was too intimidating, I guess, or hard to get through, I would have to say The Swan Book by Alexis Wright. It was just very disorienting. Basically, I had no clue what was going on. I got about 30 pages in, and those were the toughest 30 pages I've read. I had no clue what was going on. I could not follow anything. So that book was meant for someone way smarter than me, and probably someone with more of a background or at least some knowledge of Australian and Aboriginal history. Question two is, what book have you not read because you just haven't had the time? And isn't that every book? But for this, I am picking Broken Monsters by Lauren Bukes. This is a book that I know it would be totally up my alley. It's about a detective in Detroit who gets called to a crime scene, and it's a body. It's just this disgusting image of the body of a 12-year-old boy, half of the body of a 12-year-old boy fused with like half the body of a deer, and she's after this deranged killer that sets up his victims that way. So that totally sounds like it's up my alley. It's like detective mystery slash thriller slash horror, which is the perfect Stephanie combination. So I know I would enjoy it. I think just when I finally have like an empty spot on my currently reading, I look at this and it just seems really thick, and it's not. It's 400, which I feel like is pretty average for a novel, but I think it seems big, so I kind of hesitate about picking it up, even though I know that if I pick this up and read it, I would really get into it and wouldn't even notice that it was that long. Question three is, what book have you not read because it's a sequel? I don't read a whole lot of series, but I am reading the Dublin Murder Squad series. So when I was tagged like a few months ago, I had only read the first one, In the Woods. And so my answer was going to be Tana French's Faithful Place. This is the third in the Dublin Murder Squad series, and so this was going to be my answer. So I guess this is still my answer. I haven't read this yet. I am finally caught up, though. I've read the first and second, and so this is the third. So I can officially get into this and read this now, which I am really, really excited to do. Also, if you haven't read the Dublin Murder Squad series, like, get on that. It is so good. If you liked Netflix shows, like if you're like me and you liked shows like Broadchurch or like The Killing, I loved The Killing. I think you will totally love the Dublin Murder Squad series. The next question is, what book have you not read because it's brand new? And when I went on vacation, of course, I bought some books because I have a disease. And especially if they're on sale. If they're on sale, sale tags are like my kryptonite, like I will buy them. But this is Some Luck by Jane Smiley. When I did my Bookish Boxes video where I went through and talked about my favorite things I like to read about in books, or plot devices that I like in books, I talked about how I like books that deal with family drama or have a family saga layout where we follow a family through different generations. And so this is the first part of a trilogy that follows a family in Iowa through different generations. Actually, Liz from Now Voyaging was the one that suggested this in the comments, and also 1,000 Acres by Jane Smiley, which I'm planning to read 1,000 Acres first before I read this, before I get into this trilogy by her. But I'm really excited. So this is the first one. So this is when the family like just moves. This is the beginning of like, family's history in Iowa, and I'm really looking forward to reading this. It sounds like it's totally up my alley. Next question is, what is a book you haven't read because you read another book by that author and did not enjoy it? So earlier this year, I read Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman, and I really didn't like it. It just wasn't my thing. And at that same library sale where I bought that, I also bought The Ocean at the End of the Lane. And someone in the comments said that the reasons for me not liking Neverwhere were the same reasons they did not enjoy this book. And then some people absolutely love it, so I'm a little hesitant, even though it's tiny. It's a little book. This was going to be like my a readathon book I was going to pick. But yeah, I'm a little hesitant now, just because I was a little I was burned before on gaming, so I'm a little let down, a little hesitant. But I mean, I'm gonna read this. This is gonna be read. I'm not gonna not read this like 150-page book. Next question is, what book have you not read because you just haven't been in the mood for it? And there was a few I could have picked for this, but for this I'm gonna say Andrew Dubus III's House of Sand and Fog. It's summer. It's a relatively happy time right now. I feel like this is the time I'm taking out like my happy chick flick type books, my like Sarah Addison Allens. And this book is pretty dark, and not dark in like a horror way, dark in like a tragic, sad way. It's about a woman who loses her home, and it was her family home. She gets foreclosed on, and then this immigrant family moves in, and this was just a really good thing for them, but she starts harassing them, and you kind of get to see like both sides of the story, her attachment to this home and their desire, this immigrant family's desire to start new and finally have a nice place to live in this new country, and like what a big blessing this was, and now this woman is bothering them and making their lives miserable, and it's not something super summery and happy. But I am planning on reading this. This seems like more of a winter fall book, so I'll be getting to it definitely by the end of this year. Next question is, what is a book you haven't read because it's humongous? This is going to be the same answer as a lot of people who have done this tag, and this is Eleanor Catton's The Luminaries. This is historical fiction, and it is like 800 pages. Yeah, 800 pages. Although I have a buddy read set up for this with Kate and Jane, and Kate, Howe, and then Jane is one of my commenters. So should be good. I'm looking forward to this. A lot of people enjoy this, and I've heard that it's interesting enough that it makes it go fast, so that's good. That's always good with 800-page books. So the next question is, what is a book that was a cover buy but turned out to have really bad reviews? And so for this, I was at Goodwill and I was book shopping because books there are super cheap, and I recognized this author, and so I picked up this book. So this is Summerland by Michael, I'm totally gonna butcher that, Chabon. And this is, I think, kind of a young adult children's novel. It's fantasy about like a boy navigating through America, and there's like American folklore, and he has to do it like by playing baseball, and it sounds really interesting. Like I do still want to read it, but I looked at the reviews and it's more in the lower threes. I think I kind of have like a 3.5 standard usually for books that I buy. This is a book I bought really not knowing anything about it. I do hope to read it soon. It shouldn't be that difficult since it is kind of marketed as a children's novel. Still kind of big though. Last question is, what is the most intimidating book on your TBR? For me, it would probably be The Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. It's huge. It's a little dense, and I don't know, it's scary. That's one of the only books I can say I'm legitimately like scared of. Maybe that and like Ulysses. I have no intentions of picking up Ulysses though. Like I feel like that's just something that was meant for people smarter than me, and it's just going to be way over my head. But Infinite Jest is something I do want to read, but it is scary. That's probably the only book I'm really like, I don't know. Even though I did watch Hilary's review, Hilary Yrrobotfriend, and she was very encouraging, and she said things like, if I can do it, you can do it. And I know David at the Poptimist has linked me to kind of a summer reading plan for like a read along for the Infinite Jest. So I do plan on doing that sometime, but that is a book that's a little intimidating. It's a little dense, and it's huge. It's gigantic. So yeah, that's what I would have to say for that. And it's a book like every time I walk by it at a bookstore, I feel like it's looking at me. And that's not like the last question. I am supposed to tag people in this, but this is a really, really old tag. If you haven't done it, consider yourself tagged. So thanks for watching, guys, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!